Hi everyone, thank you for joining me for another Make It Again Monday. This week I'm coming back to one of my all-time favorite dies by Picket Studios, A2 Cherry Blossoms. I've put this together as a Christmas card and it features an interesting acetate card front panel. This die has been designed to fit perfectly on an A2 size card, 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches. There are lots of fine details on this die. On the right you can see the shim that I used. I ran the die 2 to 3 times back and forth in my die cutter. I found it easiest to leave the die cut right within the die and then poke out all those negative pieces. I'm glad that I did because I had a little area in the middle of the netting that was not completely die cut. When this happens with any intricate die, I like to place the die back into the die cutter on an angle and then run it through again. And you can see those last few pieces pop out cleanly. To remove the die cut from the die, I start in the corner and I peel it up carefully. When I get to an area where there are stamens which are quite delicate, I do use the craft pick to release them from the die. This does take a couple of minutes, but it's worth taking the time to ensure that nothing gets ripped. And I continue to slowly work towards the end of the die cut, peeling it up. This cover plate was die cut 2 times. These 2 die cuts will be used to sandwich an acetate panel. Don't want the adhesive to smear on the acetate, so I am going to apply Tombow glue. On the first panel, I am applying glue to the back of the die cut. On the other panel, I will apply it to the front of the die cut so that when they're put together, they will match perfectly. After I applied the adhesive to both of the panels, I tapped them off on paper towel to make sure that there's just a thin layer of adhesive. Then I just set them aside. When Tombow glue dries, it is tacky and repositionable. And after a few minutes, it's ready to go and I don't have to worry about any adhesive getting on the acetate. And because it is repositionable, it gives me some flexibility as I line these 2 cover plates up. The first die cut panel is lined up on one end of an acetate panel that measures 4 1/4 inches by 5 3/4 inches. The length is just a little bit longer on the acetate panel so that I can create a hinge to attach it to the back of the card. Then the second die cut panel is easily lined up on the other side of the acetate. This will create a nice clean look when the recipient opens the card. The die is used to cut red cardstock. Again, I run it back and forth a couple of times in my die cutter. I leave everything in the die like I did before, but for a different reason. This makes it much easier to figure out where all of these petals go on the panel. I'm just using a little bit of liquid adhesive to adhere the petals to the acetate. I thought that I would have to inlay these petals on the back of the panel, but because the adhesive dries clear, it actually looked pretty good, so I didn't bother. I inlaid the first and third flower top and bottom with the red cardstock, and then the center flower was done with red glitter paper. After all, it is a Christmas card and we can get away with a little bit of extra sparkle. The extra length of acetate is going to be scored. I make sure that I line it up along a score line right at the edge of the frame. After the acetate has been creased, I'm going to apply some double-sided tape to the back of the panel. The backing paper is removed, and then the crease line is folded over top of some gold glitter cardstock that is A2 sized. Before the flap is folded down, I make sure that both panels are aligned to one another. The flat end of the bone folder is used to burnish the hinge. To hide the acetate flap, black cardstock, again measuring 4 1/4 inches by 5 1/2 inches, is adhered to the gold glitter cardstock panel. Joy word die is also used to cut the same gold glitter cardstock that is used on the inside panel of the card. This gorgeous word die is going to be popped up with some black adhesive foam. Then the die cut will be popped over the netting area of the panel. And there you have it, a Christmas card with an acetate front panel. Fence Studios A2 Cherry Blossoms cover plate is not only a great choice for a Christmas card, but it is perfect for making an acetate front panel card. I love how this card turned out, and I can't wait to send it to someone special. I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for joining me for another Make It Again Monday. As always, I appreciate your visit.